Yeah, ready to talk about self-love and
Yes.
I love me and
yes.
Hi everyone, it's Dr. Lalitaa here. Right, today I have a very, very special guest in the studio. Her name is Joanna, and I have her here because she's here to share her journey with you. She wants to share her journey of what she's been through and just her process of self-love. And I've called her here because I love Joanna's energy. She's amazing as an individual, and she is ready to want to share her experience. And it's just to let you know that everyone is on their own journey, and this is just giving you a sneak preview into someone else's journey. And I want you to take from this what you need right now. And what I mean by that is that everyone's going to be in different places right now, and the way that you see something is going to be very different if you're in a different place, if that makes sense. It's like when we watch a film, for instance, we'll sit there and we'll watch a film and be like, oh yeah, that happened, but then we'll watch it again in like a few years time or a few months time, and we'll be like, oh, I didn't realize that happened or that's happened. And we take a different meaning from it depending on where we're at in our lives. And that's why I say, take what you need from this. And I'm just really excited to have Joanna here because I have so many questions I want to ask her. So without any further ado, Joanna.
I think it's radical acceptance of yourself and being definitely just, yeah, I think I would go with that. Radical acceptance of yourself. Self-acceptance of self is getting to know yourself first, see what you're about. I think in today's world, we don't have time to reflect or kind of like contemplate or see exactly what we like, what we don't like as individuals, as like, you know, you having like a relationship with yourself, how we have relationships with other people, like with your parents, with friends, with your loved ones. We don't get to have to spend that time with ourselves. And I think once you discover who you are, then you don't need any kind of like approval, external approval from other people to kind of give you that sense of belonging. You know that you have yourself, you become your best friend, and then all the other relationships, they just flourish because there's no need or no desire or craving or anything that you are looking outside of yourself. So becoming your best friend, it goes back to radical acceptance of yourself. So one of the things, and maybe that's one tool that maybe I've used in the past, is to write down everything that comes into your mind. Because that gives you a bit of like clarity. You distance yourself from those kind of like thoughts that are coming into your mind. And you see yourself from a different perspective. So you kind of like become an observer of what's happening in your life. And you don't take things so seriously. So for example, if different thoughts are coming your way, might be really good thoughts, really bad thoughts at the beginning. Like at the beginning of my journey, I had so many thoughts, disempowering thoughts about myself, that I'm not good enough, that my accent is weird, that I was like always shy to speaking to people because of those thoughts that were coming out. And once you address those and you see that it's just an illusion, it's just something that you create in your mind, and that you give importance and that you give energy to those kind of like thoughts. And once you acknowledge them and see them for what they are, you can choose to change them. So you can choose to change to something more empowering. And that impacts on everything that you do. That's a very very, very important question to ask. And it all started with, it's like an intellectual level. So like I started reading a lot more. I started meditating. Those are just tools. Everything that you do, they're just tools to kind of remind you of the person that you really are. So when you come into this world as a baby, it's pure bliss, love, happiness. That's what you are as a being, as someone that is just comes into this world, and everyone is there, and there's like so much love and joy. But then things are starting to appear, different models, perceptions, beliefs that are kind of creating our reality. They're coming, and because we don't question things, obviously we don't question our parents, we don't question our teachers, we take everything for granted, and we think that our world is what we took from all those experiences. And because we don't have different experience of a family, or a different experience in how to be in a school, or how it is to be in a relationship with ourselves, those kind of, you think that that's the only way, or that's the only option. So that's when, what I would say, is starting to questioning things. I wouldn't say question authority, but it's just finding your answers for yourself, rather than believing or taking anything for granted for another person, of authority, which might be celebrities or might be like a professor. Or like, I would just say, find your own answers, and that's where how you start seeing those thoughts. And if when you do that, going back to the question, is that everything else it's just built in throughout your journey. And what we need to remember is to go back to that state of joy that we had when we were born, because that's our natural state of being. Yeah, so I was really shy, and I was very mindful about my accent. So how I was perceived by other people was as a shy person, and obviously like my posture as well was a bit more like, I had like a different perception of how people were seeing me when I had those thoughts. So the thoughts that we create in our mind are actually influencing all the relationships and the different things that are coming into our life. So yes, so let's go to the example of like being shy. I wasn't taking maybe more initiatives or more opportunities because I was very mindful of how people would see myself. I needed that validation, external validation of like my worth as a human being, I would say. And I wouldn't take as many opportunities. However, once you get to that stage, or where you find that acceptance of who you are, and loving yourself in totality, then it doesn't really matter like what that person thinks about you, because you have that inner strength within yourself to do what you want to do. Yes, definitely. So in the past, especially after like finishing school, even like in school, college, a very big portion of like university life, because you just go through the journey. You don't get to know yourself. Everything that you learn is outside of yourself. So because of that, you get all the energies to please people, to for everyone to like you, So you put a lot of energy, effort into maintaining an image that you've created in your mind, and you want other people to perceive you as that image. However, it's not the authentic self, it's not the authentic you. So it just becomes a lot as you go through life and through journeys, it becomes a lot harder to keep that image and to maintain that image. But once, and it's simply as you see everything there, and in 1 second you decide that everything is going to drop, and it drops. But you have to build that inner strength and either inner acceptance first before you can just like drop everything and the energy just comes back to you. Yeah, so it's very, very interesting because it wasn't just like one moment. It wasn't just like, okay, in this instance, I'm just gonna do this. Everything in terms of yourself, you have to cultivate this. So maybe you hear something that someone has said to you and you resonate with that, or you read a book and there is something that resonates with you and you want to apply it in your life and becomes a habit. Like for me, the process and the journey, it's always going to be a process and a journey. It's never ever going to finish. However, by changing, what has happened for me is that I could see clearly how my life it was and all the different things that led to the life that I had. If you want to have different results, you have to change how you do things. So I've looked at my health, I looked at my career, I looked at my relationship, I looked at all the different areas, spirituality, financial, all the areas that are basically making us who we are. And then questioning the different things, making very clear of like the next steps and where I want to go, where I felt that it has to show up for myself, and then just taking those steps, for example, I wasn't looking after my health and what I was eating. So what I did, if I wanted to do things differently, was waking up early and going to the gym in the morning before putting myself first before I go to work or I do different things for other people. So again, giving energy, grounding myself, and then because I am more, then I can give more to others as well. So it's a process, it's a journey, but it's starting to change different things, tiny things. It doesn't have to be a big change, but even if you wake up 1 hour early before you go to work to do something for yourself, that could be something that over time, you're going to see how that tiny change is going to impact on yourself. You might not even like realize at the beginning, but that tiny thing that you do for yourself, that's something that never ever someone outside of yourself could do that. In terms of who I am, that's a different story and that's a totally different video. But I know who I am. It's not at the mental level. I know who I am. I can feel it, and that's another thing that most people we've got so much as human beings. We've got 10 or 12 different like types of intelligences, and we only focus on only two. So language and intellectual intelligence. Because everything that we do in like school and through our life, it's intellectual, and the other one is like learning to communicate and the spoken word basically. But we have so much more out there that we don't even focus or we don't even look at. So it's exploring those, looking at like different experiences and what they're bringing out, because that gives you more depth and that gives you a more it develops you, and what you want and what you have a better and clear picture of what you want to move towards, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
So where I am at this moment in time is somewhere very, very beautiful. It's a very beautiful place because I knowing your inner strength, that influences kind of like your actions and what you're bringing out into your world. You come from a place where you don't have to do stuff, or you're not unconsciously doing stuff. You are actually the creator of your own life. So you choose everything that is going to come into your life. You are consciously choosing that. And that's a beautiful, beautiful position to be in, because you can see everything. You can. Life is a game, and you're kind of like you're the actor and also the observer and also the director, and you can just be at like different. You've got different perspectives, and you can just play with that. So at this moment in time, I'm playing with what is coming into my life and what comes out from my kind of like inner journey, and where I see myself is somewhere really beautiful. I'm taking actions every single day towards that.